I'm telling you, big news, Morgans. All right, this is huge, huge information from what I have gathered. All right, apparently one of the Straw Hat Pirates is in another fight with another member of the Straw Hat Pirates. Who? From what I can tell, it seems to be the captain versus the navigator. I believe that would be Monkey D. Luffy versus Nami. Yes. You don't believe me, sir? Sir, I'm telling you, it is literally happening. All right. Luffy is literally in a battle to the death against his own navigator. You want me to explain? Basically explain in detail why this is happening. Oh, you want me to tell everyone? Are you sure, sir? Very well then, sir. I will explain. Thank you, sir. Oh. Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Clif and I'm ready to bring you another exciting video. I'm back from vacation. I was gone for a while. Well, technically just gone for like 5 days because I went to Arkansas to visit some relatives and things like that. I did try to put out a video before I went down there, but unfortunately, I kind of got caught up. Well, when I got off work late at night and stuff like that, I kind of got caught up in watching some things on TV, or well, not on TV, but watching some things on my phone. And by the time I was finished, it kind of got a little bit too late. So, hey, thank you so much for joining me. If you're here and you overheard the phone conversation, I'd have to say that's very rude. All right, it's very rude to listen to people in the middle of a private phone call conversation. But I just got off the phone with Big News Morgans. Yes, Big News Morgans, and I have reported that there is going to be basically that there is a fight going on between Luffy and Nami. If you want to believe it or not, you could probably wait, but it will happen, I can assure you. However, Big News Morgans has reported me that he wants me to explain to you guys why this fight is actually going to occur, and then he will assist on maybe probably putting it in the papers, okay? So, let's dive into the actual context of the video. So, welcome everybody to a brand new Nami video, also featuring Luffy, but let's just face it, alright? This is going to be the fight of the century. Alright, now, I imagine a lot of people are going to be wondering, questioning, and asking, well, hold on. Why in the world would Luffy and Nami be fighting, alright? It doesn't make sense, alright? And I imagine a lot of people out there who are going to be saying, Luffy would never attack Nami. It will never happen, alright? And you're right, I agree. It will never happen and it shouldn't happen, alright? And I don't believe Luffy is that kind of person. And I'm not trying to label him that way, okay? But I am going to basically suggest something that could happen to make a unique story point for their relationship moving forward, or if it actually occurs into something, okay? So, let's put it this way, alright? When we look at all the, when we look at other members of the Straw Hat crew, Luffy's had dedicated moments where he's actually faced off against a member, right? Not every single Straw Hat. However, when you compare to all the East Blue Straw Hats, every single one of the East Blue Straw Hats has had a dedicated chapter title to where they have faced Luffy, alright? For example, Zoro, he had a battle with Luffy, and Luffy versus Zoro, which happened in chapter 112, alright? Now, notice this. Well, I'll get back to that in just a moment, okay? Chapter 112, alright? Now we move on to Usopp, who is the third member to join Luffy's crew, alright? Yeah, he was the third member to join, alright? But however, in terms of like, alright, so think of it like this. So, when you're counting all the Straw Hats together, Luffy would be 1, Zoro would be 2, Nami would be 3. But in terms of joining Luffy, it would be Zoro first, Nami second, Usopp third, alright? Like that, okay? And his battle with Luffy happened in chapter Luffy versus Usopp, chapter 332, okay? And then we have finally Sanji, who basically had a fight with Luffy, and Luffy versus Sanji, chapter 844, alright? Now, notice the similarities here in between that Zoro was the first, Usopp was the third, and Sanji was the fourth. Every single one of their chapter titles has had a dedicated double numbers, alright? Zoro had double 1, so basically 11, and Usopp had 33. And then you have Sanji, who had 44, alright? But unfortunately, if we're looking at Nami here, and if she was ever to have a fight with Luffy, her dedicated chapter title should have probably 2 2s, alright? Basically a 22 in the chapter title. And one idea I like is, I have 2 possible outcomes and suggestions, alright? I would like to predict either 1,223 or 1,322, alright? Those would be my 2 predictions on the chapter titles and when Luffy versus Nami could actually face down. Now, I know a lot of people will be questioning or wondering, like, why exactly could this even happen, right? Why are you even making this video? And look, I totally would be agreeing with you, right? I really would. And I'm not saying 100% factual that this is actually going to occur, but let me sort of dive into concepts and sort of theorize how I think this can actually happen. Alright, now, we know no short of that when it comes to Luffy's stupidity and stuff like that, Nami can get very angry or frustrated with Luffy's ridiculousness, okay? And we all know that when we compare Luffy to doing something stupid, Nami is far stronger than Luffy is by far. Right? Matter of fact, I would even label her as being stronger than Kaido. When Luffy does something stupid, right? Now, that, like I said, that's when Luffy does something stupid. Does it seem like Nami is far stronger than anybody in the One Piece world? Which makes you wonder, or is like, is Oda trying to hide something from us? So, but let's just continue, okay? All right. So, as we know, that when it compares to Luffy doing something stupid, Nami is probably by far stronger than Luffy in any way, all right? But to even continue even further, exactly how could their fight actually occur? Well, let's look at other inspirations when it comes to the other Straw Hat pirates, particularly the East Blue Straw Hats, and how their fights actually occurred with Luffy. Alright, so first starting out with Zoro. Luffy and Zoro's fight actually occurred because when, during the Whiskey Peak arc, Zoro had basically discovered that the people who were being nice to the Straw Hats at the time were feeding them food. Zoro was able to figure out that these guys were bounty hunters working for Baroque's works, alright? And from what we can understand, Luffy misunderstood everything and believed that Zoro had betrayed everybody and cut them up. And Luffy was very furious about this, alright? And he basically went up to challenge. He basically went to have a fight with Zoro in order to make him pay for what he did. All right, that's what happened in that chapter. Now moving on to Usopp, his fight happened with Luffy in chapter 332, and basically what happened is that this was during when the Going Merry was going to need to be shut down. Right, it couldn't sell anymore, and Usopp did not want to stand for this. Right, so he basically, because of this and the meeting of the Going Merry that has to Usopp, especially to Kaya, Usopp felt very betrayed by this, that they were just giving up on the Merry without even just basically giving on the Merry. And because of this, Usopp actually challenged Luffy to be the rightful captain, and which basically led to their fight. Okay, and now we have Sanji with Luffy and Sanji. Their fight actually occurred that when Sanji basically went to Whole Cake Island, and because he went to Whole Cake Island because there was a plan between Big Mom and his biological father, to where his father was going to use Sanji, his son that he didn't care more about because he saw him as nothing but a failure to him. He basically set him up as the guinea pig in order to elaborate this big wedding plan, and then Big Mom was going to betray Sanji's real family and stuff like that in order to gain their scientific technology. It was a crazy hassle, right? However, during this moment when Sanji was there, Luffy and Nami and other members of the Straw Hat crew went to Whole Cake Island in order to retrieve Sanji and bring him back home. And when Luffy basically met up with Sanji again, and Sanji wanted them to turn around. Sanji did not want them to stay there. He wanted them to leave and go on to try and become king of the pirates without him, find a new cook, and eventually Sanji had to basically face off against his captain in order to get him to turn away and go the other way. That's basically what happened in that situation. All right. So in every situation, there are some similarities and there are some differences. All right. But let's think about how Nami's could actually occur. With Nami's, it's a little bit more interesting to actually assume or think about, like, how exactly could Luffy versus Nami fight in a good way. That's not just going to be some kind of gag, but it's going to be represented through an entire chapter. Like, it's something that is going to have significant meaning to basically lay out a meaning. And I do have a few good theories, all right, and a few good suggestions, okay? The first one I want to focus on is with Chopper's Rumble Balls, right? Now, if you're not familiar with Chopper's Rumble Balls, his Rumble Balls are basically like they're sort of like these pill things that Chopper has made to help him with his transformations during his different transformations. And one in particular is Monster Point, all right? Now, before the time skip, when Chopper went to Monster Point, he basically lost control could not control himself, all right? Now, let's think about this logically. Now, we know there are other people, or particularly other animals, who have used the, or I shouldn't say like that. I mean, technically there was only one other animal I can think of that we know for sure has used Chopper's Rumble Balls. I could be wrong about that. If I am wrong about that, please let me know in the comment section below. But to basically continue, we know Beppo used one of his Rumble Balls that he created in order to help him go Sulong, right? So it doesn't seem like the Rumble Balls are only affected by the Devil Fruit abilities themselves. Like any type of transformation, these pills can be utilized to help further along the transformations. And with Luffy's Devil Fruit, the Gomu Gonami, basically becoming being revealed to be a human for model Nika, it does seem to question or wonder the possibility, well, what if a human uses a Rumble Ball, right? We know that in Wano, when Zoro, after he had faced against Kaido and stuff like that, he got basically badly damaged, and he there was no one to face King Ing or no one to keep King preoccupied. So Zoro basically took a special medicine from the minks that could basically restore and give you nearly all your strength back, but in exchange that once the pill has transpired or extended its time, you would receive double the amount of damage you received during your battles and fights. So we know there are certain things to where humans can use certain pills in that regards, right? But looking into Chopper's Rumble Balls, if Luffy was to take one, and he was to basically transcend into maybe a monstrous Nika form, it would be very questionable to wonder, well, would he actually be in control? And I would logically say probably not, since Luffy has probably never used Rumble Ball. The effects of the Rumble Ball might not be well utilized very clearly, right? Luffy might be out of control. Yeah, like when he goes into Sun God Nika in his regular way, he's a little bit more in control. But the Rumble Ball effects probably have a little bit more of a wild side to where Luffy doesn't actually have this in his system. Like he's never had it in his system, so it's a little bit unmatched. So it's a little bit crazy in that regards. Okay. And maybe there could be a potential to where if safer logically speaking, Nami is the only one at that time around Luffy's side. Like there's no one else, and Luffy's out of control. He's basically corrupted and mad. Now I do feel like Chopper would be very sad or very responsible for this, and that he would probably blame himself for this happened. Now, technically speaking, Luffy is not the kind of guy to basically cheat through this regards, right? So he wouldn't take a Rumble Ball of any regards or anything, right? Like he wouldn't do that, right? Luffy's never been that kind of person to basically cheat, so I don't really see him as taking a Rumble Ball. But there was a situation where something happened where Luffy accidentally took a Rumble Ball and basically lost control of himself, and then Nami was the only person there at the time, and then she had to face Luffy in order to help him restore himself or basically keep himself from hurting himself or anyone else. I could see that as a possibility. Now let's move on to another suggestion where we're going to focus on the Rumble Ball again, but this time having Nami take it. Now, if anyone's familiar with my channel, for the past while, I've been making a lot of Moon Goddess videos where I've been focusing on Nami being the Moon Goddess, and I basically been laying down another version of the Nika, basically another version of the Sun God Nika, but in this case, the Moon Goddess Nia. Let's just say, for the point of this video, that Nami does become a Moon Goddess, right? She does eat the Hito no Mi, mythical Tai-in no Megami Nia, alright? So basically the human fruit Moon Goddess Nia. So let's just say for this video that Nami does become the Moon Goddess, right? And if that's the case, if she was the one to eat the Rumble Ball effect and stuff like that, it would probably be a little bit more sensible and probably make a little bit more sense. We know that Nami is a little bit more of the smart one and stuff like that, so if there is a situation that could be desperate for her to help her fight in her need, she would probably attend to that, alright? Now, because we're in the final endgame of the series, lately, Nami evolving the Delph Fruit to that higher grade would be very questionable and would feel much of a cop-out. However, if she took a Rumble Ball, it might label it and might give it more of a credence to why we would probably get higher evolutions faster than we would probably assume. And I can basically agree to that. So to continue further on, if Nami was to take the Rumble Ball while she has the Moon Goddess Delph Fruit like that, and basically lost control of herself, we can imagine the situation it would be if Luffy was the one there, and he had to basically face off against Nami in order to help her restore herself, in order to keep herself from hurting herself or anyone else, alright? And it would probably be the fight of the century. Now, I feel like this could actually be a really good argument to say is that when we look at all the other past fights with Luffy and his crew, none of them have actually been reported by Big News Morgans in any way. Not any one of them, alright? Now, it would be very questionable to wonder, okay, well, if there was ever a fight that was actually going to occur with one of the Stride Pirates and Big News was going to report it, one logic thing that I can probably consider a great idea could be with Nami, right? And imagine if Big News Morgans reports on this and spreads this information across the entire One Piece world. Imagine if it gets to Kochihashi Village and Ginzo sees this and feels like Luffy has betrayed his promise, and that when he sees Nami, a picture of Nami in the paper, and basically sees her not smiling, it would probably put more weight on the shoulder of Luffy, trying to remember the promise that he made to Ginzo. Remember, Luffy made a promise to Ginzo that he would always protect Luffy's Nami's smile and never take it away. And I do feel like this could be a good way to basically bring that story point back into a new way. All right. in my consideration, I would consider it something in a story to where something is basically left up to it's basically like when you end a certain moment and that you don't exactly it's kind of like when you end a moment in a story, and yet you can always come back and bring that specific story point into another story point. It's kind of like that, right? I don't know the exact word for that, but that's basically what that's described as, okay? And I figured that would be a little bit more weight emotional for the sense of it, right? It'd probably put more strain on Luffy to basically challenge something, and the fact that Luffy wouldn't want to hurt Nami, and the fact that he would have to try and find a way to basically keep Nami from hurting herself or anyone else until he can find a way to restore her and basically bring back her smile. I figured that could be a good logic reason, right? Now, as we continue further, where are some of the best fights their fights can actually occur? I have two basic ideas where their fights can actually occur. The first one we could consider Elbaf, right? We know Elbaf has connections to like sun gods and mythology and stuff like that. They have a sun god that they worship. And it does seem very likely that the next place that we're going to is Elbaf, right? And if we are going to Elbaf, and if something was to occur where Nami would eat the Devil Fruit or become the Moon Goddess, and I could imagine it would be very interesting here if both Luffy and Nami fought in the Land of Giants as giants themselves, right? And that further goes on to another question I like to bring into another possibility where they could fight is maybe Mary Joie, right? It does seem likely that we might go to Mary Joie, and one thing to point out here is that in Mary Joie, just like Annie's lobby, it always seems to be sunny there, right? It never seems to be nighttime as far as what we can tell or as far as we know, right? And this would be very interesting here because it's always sunny. Now, why is this important, right? Well, the further add-on to this, is anyone familiar with planetary domiciles, right? It's basically the planetary's rulership over a specific sign, alright? So let's take alright, so think of this, alright? When Luffy first turned the Sun God Nika, it was during the full moon, alright? He basically transformed into Sun God Nika during the full moon. Now, if we look at Nika's name and rearrange the kanji, the katana of it, it becomes Kani. Now, Kani in Japanese translates into crab. Now, if we were to look at crab in terms of the zodiac sign, it would be Cancer, and obviously, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the Cancer is stronger than the moon. So think of it like this, that even though Sun God Nika is the sun god, he is stronger with the moon itself, right? Now, to further add on this, let's look at the moon goddess, right? Now, I mentioned that the name of the moon goddess I chose is Nia, moon goddess Nia, okay? And the fake name would be Nico, alright? Well, there are three things I want to go over in terms of relations to cats that can fit well for Nami, alright? So, Nia can be seen as probably as a pun on Nya, meaning a cat's meow. Nico can probably be a good reference to Neko, or a bit of a wordplay on Neko, meaning cat. And then you look at the Gorgonami, which can also be used as an onomatopoeia for a cat's purring, alright? Three cat things that can relate to Nami real well. Now, when looking at the context of that when you look at the empty throne, you can see two lion statues on the empty throne, alright? Now, if we were to basically look at this in terms of the zodiac Leo, which is a lion, it is actually ruled by the sun, alright? So, Nami fitting the moon god as whose power is stronger with the sun, alright? Nika, the sun god, is stronger with the moon, and yet Nia, the moon goddess, is stronger with the sun. This could fit real well with during the beginning of the One Piece manga when Luffy and Nami was first meeting and they had their first conversation. We saw a picture to where Luffy was facing, where we saw Luffy, and yet there was a moon, even though he's the sun. And then there was one where we saw Nami, but yet there was a sun behind her, obviously indicating that they were stronger with each other, and at the same time stronger with their opposite forces. All right, and that's something to add there. So, in my opinion, it would be very interesting to consider if something actually occurred or something actually happened to where basically one of Chopper's rumble balls affected them and basically made them go wild, unlocking their true potential, and basically leading to a fight to where they had to basically do something in order to face Hawkins, right? So you don't necessarily have to enjoy it, you don't necessarily have to believe it. I'm just here just making a simple argument, a simple case of theory suggestion that could actually occur, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to, right? To be honest, the potential of Luffy and facing Nami is very questionable. It's like that. If it does happen, I do believe that Oda can tell a great story point to basically utilize it in such a unique way that would basically entrust the audience with great details and inspirations for all of us. So I have faith in Oda that he could actually deliver it if it actually were to come true. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this video particularly. Nothing more else to go on that. At least nothing I can think of. In the end, wherever I'm making videos, there's always something I tend to forget. But that's pretty much all I got for this. All right. I do apologize if there were some things that you couldn't understand me on. I do apologize. I try to be very, I do try to explain things very clearly. I do get, my words do get jumbled up sometime in my mouth. But that's pretty much all I got. So thank you so much for joining me for this video. Just so you know, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you want. Hit notification bells. Leave a comment down below. Whatever you like to do. And here's another picture of Nami. And as I say goodbye. So y'all have a good day. Bye now.